for that. And for everyone who's logged on, thanks for joining us. And please feel free to turn on your camera so that I can see you as you can see me. I would love to see your faces. Thank you, because then it's really a conversation, I think. So I appreciate you. Thank you for that. We've got some questions. We received some questions in your registering for this webinar hour, and we'll try and answer them on this hour. And we've also just have some questions that we found we can just touch on that we've had through the last month and a half or so of dealing with families who are forming and maintaining family council. So thank you for that. Let's see, who have we got? I see, oh my gosh, thank you, Jerry Garrett, for being here, and Barbara Stuck and Deborah Tahowski. Thank you, all of you. I'm just looking through all these names really quickly. I really appreciate your being here. Thanks for that. We are being, as you know, live recorded now, and it'll be streamed on Facebook. You can watch this Zoom in its entirety. I would say within a day or two, it'll be posted onto our website, which is www.nursinghome411.org. That is the LTCCC's website. I invite you to check it out, register for webinars. There's one, I think, coming up on September 19th. But, you know, sign up for the alerts, sign up for the newsletters. They are so informative, and they're written in clear language, and everything that you really should know about a long-term care residence and what's happening in that world. We try and keep you updated every month. So please, please join us, sign up. We will not sell your name to a list. You win, and residents nationwide win. So please, please sign up. We encourage you to do that. Thank you, Haley, for putting that link into the chat. I appreciate you. And let's see, Gloria, are you here? I think I saw your face.
I'm here.
Hello, Gloria.
Hi, Janine. Good morning, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We received some really good questions in the registrations, and I wanted to just touch on those if that is okay. One of the questions that we received was, how do other family councils attract new members? And I wondered if that's a question that we can answer this hour. And another good question was, what are the first steps to form a family council? And I can thank Patricia Ryan for that question. Thank you for that. The other one was anonymous. Lori, how do you think, how can we recommend to people how to attract new members in a family council?
Well, Janine, I'm gonna throw it out to our family members that are out there, because this is an open mic for them. So I don't want to do a lot of talking. I would like some of them to step up and say, how are you getting new members, and share it with the other family members. So Janine and I are here just to kind of guide this conversation of open mic. It's all about the family members right now. So any family members want to share their successes or what they're working on, even if it isn't successing right now, but just kind of what you're working on and how you're attempting to do it, because we'd like to hear that as well.
Yes. Anyone have a suggestion or a success story on how you have attracted new people to your family council? Well, then if not, if you don't mind my sharing my my tips and tricks. I've learned the hard, not the hard way, but just through time tested practices. I need to go to visit my dad at his nursing home different days of the week, different times. And I found that to be pretty successful. I also found that just keeping one eye on my dad sometimes, and just kind of keeping the other eye on people approaching me. If I recognize them, I say hello. And if I don't, I say hello anyway. And I introduce myself as, hi, my name's Janine. Are you in the family council? And they will never, inevitably say no, or, oh yes, I am. Hi, Janine, I've never met you before. And if they say no, I start to talk to them about a family council that we formed over 3 years ago, during the height of the very beginning of COVID, and how that family council has helped residents and family members alike to deal with issues that have come up because of COVID, after COVID, because of the isolation. I share our contact information, my co-founder, Michelle, and my information on how to keep in contact with us. And I share the LTCCC Family Council Toolkit and various things, various tools that we have on the LTCCC website in the family empowerment section, like care planning, questions that you can ask, the regulations that go into that, the regulations that go into forming a family council and how we have a right to be. I never ever say anything negative about where my dad lives, because frankly, people don't need to hear about that or know about that. They need to hear about how they can benefit from being part of a family council. That is my role when I'm talking to them about a family council. I hope that that sounds like something that other people can adopt, but sometimes it is that easy, just smiling, being genuine, and sharing one of your success stories as to what you've gotten out of a family council.
May I offer something also about?
Charles Bourget.
Yeah. Hi, Jenny.
Hello.
Oh, something happened to my Zoom here. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you and see you perfectly. Thank you,
You can.
Charles.
Okay, right. Yeah, well, the New York State Family Council regs say that the facility is obligated to post in a prominent place in the facility notice of the meeting. So we really take advantage of that. That has helped us. So what I do is I have this flyer that I send out every month, and it tells the time and the place of the meeting. You know, it's kind of like this attractive, like, you know, I copied this graphic design from someplace, and it has the speaker that we're going to be featuring, and it has, and most importantly, it has my contact information. So and so we've gotten some members that way, but it's in the regs. So the facility has to do it, and so I would take advantage of every accommodation that the regs give to family councils to publicize themselves. Also, the regs state, in addition, that the facility must send, at least on a quarterly basis, to their family member mailing list notices of the meetings as well by mail. So it's in there, and so I would take full advantage of it. I know some facilities have difficulty getting that, getting cooperation, but just be persistent and use your ombudsman to help you if that's available to you.
Charles, are those regulations federal or are they only for New York?
New York State, only New York
New York
State.
State.
New York State has a pretty good family council law, and I'd be happy to send it out to anybody that wants it. It's on the ANYFC website. Can I mention that? Is that okay?
Yes.
Right. The Alliance of New York Family Councils, by the way, which you are all welcome to join. I'll put some information in the chat box about that. We are an organization that supports family members in New York State. You don't even have to be in a family council. You just have to be a family caregiver and be interested in investigating family councils, maybe how it can help you. And we have a website. It's I'll put it in the chat, but it's www.anyfc, which stand for Alliance New York Family Councils, anyfc.org. There is a resource section. In the resource section on that website, go to Family Council Law, and you will then be able to pull up the Dear Administrator letter that has the force of regulatory law that gives you all of the obligations of the facility towards family councils. And so it's really important for every family council to be familiar with those, so that you know what you're entitled to under the law, and that you know what you have a right to ask the facility to provide for you.
Thank you for that, Charles. You're absolutely right. And I appreciate your mentioning that Dear Administrator administrator letter, which is from, I think, 2004, 2006. Even though it's an
Yeah.
older letter, it's still, just like our constitution,
Uh-huh.
it still is relevant and they must follow it.
Mhm.
So thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And then there are federal regulations for family councils for the United States. So that's something that you can find, and actually Haley is putting it into the chat. Print it out, look at it, print it out, carry it with you, because sometimes you as a family member are probably, there's a good chance, there's an excellent chance that you know more about these regulations for your rights than the administrators at a long-term care residence have. So it's in your best interest to be informed and to carry that information with you. It cannot hurt. Are there any questions on our open mic hour? Anyone want to raise their hand and jump in, or shall we tackle another question from a registrant? Don't worry, no question is stupid. All right. How about, what are the first steps to form a family council? Has anyone here recently formed a family council, and what were the steps you took to form that family council? Like Ferris Bueller, anyone? No? Okay. Well, I think sometimes the first step, at least for me, it was looking around and seeing, is there a family council? Okay, there isn't, and no one is kind of jumping into it. So I guess we can kind of do this. And lucky for me that I had my friend Michelle, who is our co-founder. She emailed me at the very same minute that I had this thought, and we joined forces together and we grew our family group. We didn't realize it was a family council, from 15 people to 40 to 60. And now we have over 150 people on our family council. Not everyone is going to be active. It's a fluid thing. You know, people leave, they rejoin. I will say on our family council for my dad's nursing home at VA nursing home at Montrose here in New York State, there is a fair number of family council members who have stayed on despite their loved one passing, because they want to accomplish the mission. They want to stay with us to help to continue to advocate for hospice, for better nutrition, for better visitation rights, for more activities, for more staffing. And they want to just keep fighting that fight, if you will, but we try to use the word advocacy. So it really is up to you. People can feel your energy, so always try and be positive, despite, you know, if administrators are trying to suppress your voice or bog you down in, you know, by picking on you or not answering your emails or phone calls. Don't let that get to you. Just keep on. I had a very wise gentleman tell us the other day, Richard, I think his name was, to use the woodpecker's approach, to just keep on pecking. And that is a very, very useful way and time-tested way to get what you need for the residents at the long-term care residence or you know, nursing home that you are advocating for. What do you think, Gloria?
I agree with you, Janine. Yes.
Right?
And family members, yes, step up to the mic. Tell us how you're doing. Tell us what's going on. We have answers to the questions, but we would like to hear from you, because you're the boots in the field, let's say. And I know that sometimes the word council gets a little discouraging to other families. They get a little intimidated by the word council, but just plunge through that, and because that's what the regs are. So yeah, let's hear from the family members.
Anyone here have a question?
Or just want to share?
Don't be shy. Jerry, do you have any questions?
I was
Jane
just going to go to
Silverstein?
Jerry.
Right?
Right now, you've asked two of my questions so
Oh,
far.
no. I'm sorry. All right.
No.
Jerry.
I mean, people have asked those questions. So,
Okay.
how do they get started? And I am interested, Charles said something about having speakers at the meeting. Like, what kind of
Yes.
people do you reach out to?
You know, that's a really good question. When we were trying for hospice at my dad's nursing home, we had the hospice services of Westchester come and speak to us because we weren't quite sure the difference between comfort care and hospice. What are the differences? And we wanted to be educated before we advocated. So we found that was really useful. She came, she was very truthful, very honest. And that enabled us to then approach the administration at my dad's nursing home and ask an educated, intelligent question. And it wound up that we knew more about hospice than they did, which put us at very much an advantage for that. So I would think of things like that. You could also, like for a speaker, if you're thinking about food, what are better nutrition? You could have you could even have a resident. You could have the president of your resident council come and speak at your family council meeting, especially if they're vocal and you know that they take an active part in the resident council meetings. It doesn't help to hear from a resident firsthand what are some of the things they'd like help advocating for, because then, as Gloria likes to say, and I agree with her 1000%, it adds to that multi-pronged approach. The residents are working together with the families. And once you've got that tag team, then you can have your ombudsperson help you to get that thing done, to, if you will, carry it across the line and score a touchdown. Sorry, I don't really follow football, but I do know a couple of the words that they use. But I think that is a really good way to do that. That's a really good idea to have the resident council person, or, you know, if you want to have, if you want to invite the recreation director, maybe, or the director of nursing. It depends on what you're advocating for in your long-term care residence. I would say that it's important to just keep the resident in mind. Gloria has really taught me personally about always staying resident focused, resident centered, because in the end, it is about them. If they want to watch TV, it's their right. They've earned that. If they want more activities, then we've got to advocate for that. But they have a voice and it needs to be heard.
Thank
Deb has her hand up. Yeah.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. And I just wanted to offer that over the years, I've been a speaker at different family councils talking about residents' rights. And if a family council has a Zoom component, I'm glad to offer those services because I'm a big proponent of letting families know about the strong rights and regs that exist in our state and federally to make sure that quality care is being given in nursing homes.
Yeah, and Deb, thanks, because I was gonna say, you know, Jerry, listen to or gain some questions from your family members. You know, what would they like to hear about? Some resident rights is definitely one. And Deb, you were in my mind because you do so well crosswalking resident rights to, you know, care in the nursing home and what that means. So that is always important. But yeah, resident rights or legal things such as power of attorney, healthcare proxy, things that sometimes families, you know, think that they are like healthcare proxy. Families are always saying, well, I'm my mom's healthcare proxy. Well, you are, and that's fabulous. And however, if your mom still has the ability to speak for herself, decide for herself, that's her decision whether she wants to not go to activities or what she wants to do. And she may not, you know, want you to be talking for her. So sometimes that clarity is also needed. But whatever you feel would be important to families to understand being in the nursing home maze. Sometimes it's just the payment structure alone, you know, I mean, that is in itself is confusing, right? Because oh, you don't qualify. Sometimes it's physical therapy. Sometimes, you know, you're plateaued. Maybe you need someone to come and talk to you about what does plateau mean? What does that, you know, how does that really, you know, affect what's happening. Richard Mullet has always been great on talking to us about practicable, not practical, right? That's, he, that was his one word that he got through to me. And when I was on ombudsman in LTCCC. So yeah, without a doubt, there are so many things out there that can be discussed in a family council from an outside source who's bringing in a lot of great information.
Can I also mention that what we do in my facility is typically we may have the speaker will be one of the department heads in the facility. Could be anyone, the director of nursing, director of social services, food services, laundry, whatever. The reason is so that I want to form a relationship between the family council and the facility, the different parts of the facility. I want them to know who we are. So that really amplifies our voice in making our concerns heard and listened to. That it's not just something that they may hear from somebody, an email that they don't know, but that they really get acquainted with us and that they know who we are. And that strengthens the ties between the facility and the family council so that we're more likely to have our concerns heard when we make them. Of course, sometimes we have advocates also, or Richard Mullet has spoken on occasion, but I think it's important to forge ties between the facility and the council.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate that. Thank you for
Yeah.
that.
Mhm.
Having, as Charles said, a staff member come and talk to you about what is resident care planning and how is discharge planning done, and what is their process? Because sometimes it may not be happening in the facility. So definitely there's all kinds of topics that relate to residents that you can help get started or make sure that they're being met in the facility. Remember, you're helping them to meet their regulatory requirements as well. So.
Right. Family councils are, I like to say, they put out the small fires. So you are helping, you're actually helping the administration. They may not see you as helping, but you are helping them, and you're helping the ombudsperson in your region because you're taking care of the small details, the small issues that come up, and you leave them more time to deal with bigger issues, perhaps at other residences or at your residence. You don't know what's happening. Gloria, before I forget, I remember that you reminded me a few days ago that October is Resident Rights Month.
Correct.
So I know it's the end of August, but it's really a good time to start thinking about when you're planning your family council meetings for the next few months. Keep that in mind that it's Residents' Rights Month. So if you haven't had a dialogue or met the Residents' Council president or the person heading up your Residents' Council at your long-term care residence, now's the time to do it, because you could have them come and speak during September or October and make sure that Residents' Rights Month is as impactful as it should be at their long-term care residence.
Yeah, and maybe even talk with the resident council president and the activities director to do a joint little resident rights month activity or event or a little luncheon or something, that would be great, because then you'd be pulling the two most important people together, residents and families, and to be advocating for and show that you're making a unison attempt. So definitely, yes.
Yes, exactly. Are there any other questions from people or attendees on today? No? Jane
Siobhan?
Silverstein, Siobhan.
Siobhan, anything you want to share, offer, talk about? The mic is yours.
I think you've answered plenty of my questions already, and I was mostly just coming to hear and learn. But the thing that keeps sort of playing in my mind is that I think so many people, at least I imagine that the people who are here and the people, families of residents in these places are experiencing such frustration with that thing of keep pecking when we know that these are legal rights that, you know, need to be, it's a very frustrating situation. And yeah, I just I guess I'm just trying to balance the feeling of just being aghast at what we've witnessed, what we've seen happen, and the fact that it can continue. And, you know, and I'm just trying to hear you when you're saying, you know, keep at it, because it feels like a wall.
All right, thank you for that, Siobhan, and you're right, it's once you get over your dismay at adults not adulting and not doing their job of taking care of your loved ones, where it seems like they're actually warehousing them and not caring for them. Once you get over that dismay, that's when you can really like start your work. That helps to refocus, because it's not a war, but you have rights behind you and you have rights at your back, and you are just going, and so do the residents. So you're going to try and make sure that your residents, their rights are not being trampled on, they're being recognized, and that they're living their best life in probably the last place they'll be living in. So they deserve to have happiness and fulfillment in their residence. Doesn't matter where it is, and it's not a facility, right? It is their residence. It's a home. One of the really good questions that we received in registration was, how can I find out if a residence has a family council, if a long-term care residence or a nursing home has a family council? How do I find this out? Who do I ask? You can ask the person who is in charge of admissions. You can ask the administration if they have one. That's a really good question to ask. Many times they'll tell you, well, you know, we do have one, but I'm sorry, because of HIPAA, we can't put you in touch with that person. I'm sure you'll find out, you know, from other families here. It's almost as if they don't want you to join the family council or to start one. Don't be dismayed. You can ask questions of other family members. And you can also look up on Facebook, look up on the website of the long-term care residence that your loved one is living in. You have that right to ask, and they must tell you. They must facilitate that. It's in the federal regulations that you have the right to join a family council. And you have the right to form one if there isn't one. Be that person to advocate for change. It's not as hard as it looks. And the return on investment of your time is happiness for other people, which I think is a really large and sizable and wonderful return on investment. So I encourage you to please fight for others, advocate for others, form a family council if there isn't already one in your loved one's long-term care residence. It's worth it for them. It's worth it for you, and for our future. None of us are getting younger. We're all getting older, and you never know. You may wind up in a nursing home, so you would be enjoying the fruits of your labor at a later date. So make that investment in yourself, if that helps you to make that a decision to join or form a family council.
Janine, I want to share, yesterday I was in a nursing home and they actually had it, a piece of paper, a notice, scotch taped to the front desk where you sign in, and it said, they called it Family Support Group, meets at 2:30 in the chapel. So whoever was signing in automatically knew that at 2:30 that support group was going on. So yep.
Nice. Okay.
It led me down there to find out who was in there. So, you know. Yep.
And so that your return on investment of walking down there, it worked out.
Yep.
All right. It looks like we have a question in our Q&A from Judith. Judith is asking, did someone say they use Zoom for family council meetings? Might that make for greater attendance by members? You know what, Judy? It does. I'll tell you, you just happen to be on the LTCCC Family Empowerment Zoom. The LTCCC offers a free Zoom room for family council meetings. I will tell you, my own family council that I helped form in my dad's nursing home, we've only met through Zoom, and we have been using the LTCCC's free Zoom room for the last 3 years. It's something that you can register for. It's free. It's a safe place. No one is listening. If you would like Gloria or I to be on your family council meeting, even just briefly or to have one of us as a guest speaker to kind of help you guide your way around forming and maintaining and growing your family council, we'd be happy to. But it is definitely something I encourage you to take us up on, because Zooming, you can Zoom from anywhere in the world. And that really, it's the next best thing to being live, and it's safe. And it helps to build that community that you need to build in order to advocate for residents, sorry.
Janine, I just want to say one thing about the Zoom room. Hi all, I'm Haley Cronquist with the Long-Term Care Community Coalition. We are happy to provide a free Zoom room, as Janine mentioned. I put a link in the chat so that you can fill out the form to sign up for that. And that doesn't mean that, you know, our team will be on your meeting unless you ask us to be. We're happy to, you know, to chime in just if you have questions, but we really value your privacy. So if you want to keep it private, just mention that on the form. So thanks.
Thanks, Haley. Thank you for that. Yes, exactly. Privacy is really important to us at LTCCC, so don't worry. If you want us there, we'll be there, but if not, have at it. It's really just a forum, and as you know, Zoom can be expensive. So it's something that you have in your corner that you can include in your tools that the LTCCC provides for you in your advocacy.
And Janine, I just want to share with the attendees today is that Janine and I are like talking to people everywhere, right? Jerry and Siobhan, we just spoke with them the other night, and can you just tell the group where you're from and just where you're from?
Yes, and Jerry has asked a question. So Jerry, you had asked a question here on the Zoom. Has anyone had success in getting their residents to post info on their website? So Jerry, I will answer well, let's see, has anyone here had success in having that done? I can tell you that we have at my father's nursing home, but it took us working with our ombudsperson to get them to not only recognize us as the de facto family council, but also to kind of keep that woodpecker approach. Hey, you got to help them out. It's in the regulations. You need to share their meeting information with all of the other families. So now we have, they don't share it on their website. They're not that sophisticated, but they did send out an e-blast to families with our Zoom information for the next quarterly meeting. And they did post that on the Family Council bulletin board in my dad's nursing home. It doesn't happen overnight. Sometimes maybe it does. It depends on who is running, you know, the administration at your long-term care residence for your loved one. But it's worth asking, and be prepared if they say no. They may say no. But just go at it, have a smile, and just know that you have those regulations at your back, and you have the right to ask, and you have the right for them to share your meeting information with other families.
Great, that's really helpful. My mom is in a long-term care facility in Wilmington, Delaware, and Siobhan is my older sister.
And your brother is the genius who put the woodpecking anecdote in my head, because I think it's a brilliant approach. It's a really good visual way to describe what we need to do in order to get family councils to be formed and to be sustained by the long-term care residences that they belong to.
And
And I
I'm
use
using
that.
because my sister introduced me as her older sister, but I'm really her younger.
Oh, I think she meant other sister.
Yeah.
Well, your loved one and the resident, your loved one's neighbors are very lucky to have you in their corner, Jerry and Siobhan, and I guess your brother Richard too, and your other siblings, because you are really willing to do the work to get that family council not only started, but to build it. So kudos to you. We are here, we're in your corner, and we're happy to help you with this. Delaware needs you. And the seniors and veterans living in long-term care residences need you too. So thank you for stepping up and doing that work. We really appreciate you and your advocacy.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you. I think the words that my brother said the other night, and we've said this among us many times, that if this type of thing were happening among, two children or with young disabled children, which is a way to think about, elders in these nursing homes. If the same kind of thing were happening, people would be losing their jobs, and
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But for some reason, our society does not look at senior citizens and veterans and the elderly in quite the same way, which is where we're all headed, ironically. So it's up to us to make that change, and we've got to make that change now. And family councils is a really excellent way to do it. Right? So I encourage you to everyone here, and it's okay if you don't have questions. It's okay if you're camera shy and don't want to ask. Feel free to email us, to call us. We're here for you. We would be happy to meet with you and help you. There's another question in the Q&A. Thank you for posting it. Judith, thank you again for asking a question. Did someone say council members continue to advocate after their family member died? Why, yes. Actually, the regulations, at least for New York, it says friends and family members. It doesn't say family and friends. It actually says friends and family members. And a friend is someone who can stay on. You don't need to be a blood relative to advocate for someone. So why not? It's a wonderful way to keep that momentum going. You don't need to step aside just as the work is being started. Stay on, fight, advocate. It's a wonderful thing.
And too, because there are so many people who don't have families and have only had friends throughout their life, like either become their healthcare proxy or their power of attorney. So we don't want to exclude, you don't want to exclude anyone who wants to stay on, and because everyone sees that the nursing homes need, they're in need of better care. They're in need, the residents and or the people that are there. I don't want to dismiss that these are still people that are living in these nursing homes, still need people to advocate for better care because there's a lot going on in a nursing home.
Yes, and Richard, thank you for adding that in the chat, that it's under the national requirements. So everyone, so don't let anyone tell you, well, I'm sorry, your loved one died, you need to step aside from the family council. It's poppycock. You don't actually have to. Why wouldn't you want to have that person in your corner, right? And I actually know of two residents in my dad's nursing home who have outlived their children, and they no longer have a living blood relative, and they have an advocate, either their healthcare proxy or their power of attorney, and very, very much welcome, and they're part of our family council. And they advocate just as strongly, even though they're not a blood relative, for the residents of my dad's nursing home. So yeah. You know, if you've got someone wanting to help you, have them join, have them stay on. Why not? Judith, you're asking some really good questions. Where's your family council from? If you can hear me.
I can't. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Hello and welcome. Thanks for joining us.
I'm I'm actually not, my mother was in a nursing home years ago, and I'm the only person I know who had a good experience. It was a very small one years ago in my hometown, where I moved back. I was able to retire and move back to take care of her for some years, and then she did end up in a nursing home, which, as I say, looking back, I realized I'm a member of the Rochester Elder Justice Committee that you spoke to recently.
Nice.
And
Nice. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
I'm so glad I could sit in today. But that's been a problem with people in our area. Once their family member dies, they're out. And I know a couple of women, twins actually, whose mother they really advocated. I don't know if they started a family council in their mother's nursing home or not, but I was trying to get them in our group, and once she was gone, they were not interested. I'm very sorry about that. And I've heard other people say, you know, once the family member was gone, the family advocates stops. But they might have been, but on the other hand, people on our active members have continued on because they want to advocate for everybody, including ourselves, if we ever end up, you know, in that situation. But that, I called the nursing homes in our county, I think it was this spring, and asked if they had a nursing family council. And they didn't even know what I was asking about. Now, I didn't always speak to the admissions directors, but I usually spoke to, because the person answering the phone, the receptionist, would say, you need to talk to our activities director or our social worker. So I did end up talking to them. Recently, one of our members looked online at the CMS statistics. I think he maybe didn't know I had called all the ones here, but anyway, some of our members are not in our county, and their family members either are or were not in nursing homes in our family, in our county. So he looked up on the CMS new information whether the nursing homes in our county, plus a few other ones that some of our members are connected with. And they sometimes listed, yes, there was none, they all had resident councils, of course, but a few of them, not too many, were listed as having councils. I am going to follow up by calling to see if that is really true, because we're not sure all the CMS information is 100% accurate. You know, it could be they had family members years ago when the statistics were gathered, and now they put them on the website. We don't know. But anyway, we are.
Judith, are you working with the ombudsperson in your region? Are
we
you
have
asking them? Because they know,
we're going to, yeah,
okay,
yes.
because I will tell you that,
I think Mary Dell has spoken with them.
oh, good. Okay, that's great. Wonderful.
She's been in touch, yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Because I will tell you that sometimes when you do call a nursing home or a long-term care residence, they'll tell you we don't have to share that information with you. They're not really open to sharing that kind of information.
Really?
And they may not be the friendliest people.
Mhm. That's interesting.
Well, I
Oh,
remember
right.
when I tried last year, I
Yeah,
made a
that's
few
surprising.
dozen calls and it didn't work.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
we wound up having to work with our ombuds team at least in the New York region.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you for asking some
Your
really good
information
probing
is
questions.
It's so wonderful. I mean, we we really were so happy that you came via Zoom to our last meeting, and I look at your information all the time. I still haven't listened to all of your programs on your website, but I that's my intention to do.
We appreciate your saying that. Thank you, Judith. We appreciate you, and thank you for inviting us onto the Metro Justice Zoom last week. And thanks for advocating for the residents of long-term care residences in your region. We really appreciate that too. We look forward to, Gloria and I look forward to working with you and Metro Justice on family councils and getting it done
Yes,
in that part of New York. So thanks.
yes, thank you.
Any other questions from anyone here? It's okay. It's all right. You can get in touch with us if any questions come to mind. And you can also just check out our website for everything that's on there. We have a sizable amount of fact sheets and information that you can print out. You can email, download. You can share with your family council members so that they're better equipped to answer questions and to know their rights and their residents' rights. There is, I think I mentioned at the beginning of our session here today, there is a care planning fact sheet there that is just wonderful. Care planning is an essential part of taking care of your residents, your resident at your long-term care residence, and to know what questions to ask and to know what answers you can expect. And as Gloria has taught me, to ask probing questions that are not task-based, that are more resident-centered. Doesn't matter how much really your loved one weighs unless they've lost a ton of weight within, at a short time. You want to know, that's great that they're finishing breakfast. You want to know about your residents because that they finished breakfast doesn't really indicate much about your resident, except that they must have really liked what they ate. How is your resident really doing? And you can ask the questions that are listed in the fact sheet on the care planning fact sheet on the LTCCC website. And as Haley put in the chat, register for our September 19th webinar. It's always a doozy. It's always really good. Richard and the team get some really wonderful speakers. And if there isn't a speaker, Richard is a remarkable speaker and educator. I know that I learned most of what I know about family councils and long-term care residences from Richard Mollett, who is a dream to work with and an amazing advocate throughout the country. Everyone knows him. He is just a font of information, so please use his brain. Barbara Stuck says, perhaps come up with a flyer that an ombudsman can put up in a facility about forming a family council. Families are so busy, they are hesitant to get involved, and they often feel they would get no results. Barbara Stuck, that is an excellent idea. What do you think, Gloria?
That is a great idea. That is a great idea.
You know what, Barbara, we will work on that flyer. I think we actually may already have a flyer made up. I think we're working on getting that distributed and working with the ombudsman in the New York region to get that going. So thanks for that reminder. Barbara, are you in New York?
Yes,
You are, okay, sorry, I can't remember.
Gloria will vouch for me.
Okay.
I will. You're absolutely right. I will.
Oh my gosh, what a
Barbara,
such
what
a
are,
nice-
do you think there's some words that, or something that, is there some way to, how can we overcome the obstacle of families thinking that they won't make any progress or it's too much work? How do you think, I think that is, you have a good point and you're absolutely right. They do look at this as work, and Jerry and Siobhan and any other family member who is running a council, you know, it is work, but how can we, do you have any words of wisdom that you can tell us that we can share with families when they're looking at this as to how not to look at this as so much work, but look at it as being more rewarding at the end?
I think perhaps if people could realize the strength in numbers, people get discouraged because they try to resolve a problem on their own and they don't get anywhere, or they get discouraged. The more people that are saying the same thing might be a good point. It's hard to get people. When I see the families that come regularly and I ask them, they're really not interested in, most of the time the attitude is, nothing's gonna happen anyway. And unfortunately, sometimes my feeling, as Lori knows, you can't give up. Because it could be you one day in that bed ringing the bell, and you want to know that you're going to get care.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Kathy Nicholson just wrote in the chat, share ideas of what some have accomplished. Okay. Is there anyone here who knows of a family council or is in a family council that has had some wins, if you will, some successes? Okay, I can tell you. I feel like the pupil in the first row in a classroom.
Janine's a wealth of information.
Well, but I can tell you, it took us a while. We advocated for hospice in my dad's nursing home since I think spring of 2022, and we just got it. It took a long time. But as I mentioned, having a guest speaker from Westchester Hospice Services, and also having a speaker, we had Dr. Mary Ursek from the VA, from the hospice team there. We invited her because my colleague, my co-founder of our family council, Michelle, she is fearless. She just emails people. You never know. They may say no, they may say yes. It's a 50-50 shot. And Dr. Mary Ursik said yes. And she has actually joined our Zoom a couple of times to talk to us about hospice. And it's wonderful that we got this finally, because there are some family council members, and on our family council, I don't want to go into specifics because we do respect people's private details. Their loved ones suffered towards the end while they were passing, needlessly, because they weren't receiving really good end of life care, which we feel hospice could really take care of and address, which is why we advocated so fiercely for hospice in my dad's nursing home. So that's a success that we've had. And I can tell you our first success, which really put some wind under our wings, was in 2021 when nursing homes first started. It was right after the window visits when they started cautiously opening up for visits. For Father's Day of 2021, we wanted to get Father's Day visitation. We hadn't seen our dads, our husbands, in over a year. And our nursing home said, great, you can have it on a Wednesday. You can have it the Wednesday before Father's Day. So we actually contacted NBC News 4, and we worked on a story with Chris Glorioso with NBC that they aired on a special report where he interviewed us. He interviewed a few of our family members. He called the Albany state office for the Department of Health to find out what the real story was about Father's Day visitation. And we won the right to visit our fathers on Father's Day, that Sunday in 2021. And that was really such a huge win for us that we just, we've been flying high since then. And you've got to grab onto those wins. They don't have to be that significant. So think of, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, someone at some point in this journey recommended that we get in touch with media, local, media, because that would, bringing attention to it would, give us support and help us to get what we needed. And I think that kind of thing, as difficult as it may be, could be very helpful. And I also, I'm not sure what what you're thinking about the Zooms that you're doing right now, but I just wondered if it's possible to have, just a
family council Zoom of other different family councils together.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gloria and I have been talking about that.
Yeah.
Gloria had that same exact idea. We've been ruminating on that and trying to figure out how we would do this, because that is an excellent idea. It's almost like a get together so we can all share and compare stories, success stories, what's working, what's not.
Yeah. I think that Kathy's suggestion is helpful because it is daunting, and we need to hear what what is working. Yeah.
And remember.
And I want to give a,
everybody's-
sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, Sean.
I just want to say that my sister is not going to say what she did as the family council sort of leader at the nursing home, but she did a tremendous amount of work. And I would say that her wins have been that she contacted families, had some representation against some really difficult circumstances, and that not a lot of people would have kept at it. And she really has been pursuing my mom's care under very challenging situations. So
Thank you for that. And in fact, your sister just happens to have her hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's important to look back on what you've been going for, because a lot of times we get wins that we don't realize are wins, just little things like we got them to post, or we got the resident to post the who's on duty on the floor that day. We got them to post a menu. Just little things that looking back, we're like, oh, that happened. And we probably had something to do with that, so keep at it. I was about ready to quit this whole thing until the other night when I met you guys. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Gary, you cannot quit.
No, you cannot. Mm-mm.
And you know what? Whenever you need a boost of adrenaline, you need a go girl, call me, call us, email us. We're there for you. We know how hard this is. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Mhm.
And in a marathon, you've got to pass the baton. Right? I mean, I just did that with my own family council. I stepped aside so I could spend more time with my dad. I'm watching him, he's on the dementia journey, and I stepped aside, and now someone else is running it. I'm still part of it. It's still something I would never give up. I don't think I'll ever give up our family council. It has helped me and my dad personally so much. And it's helped me professionally so much. I found my voice. I found my this is my goal in life is to give those voices to families and to residents at long-term care residences. This is real. This is not puppies and children. This is big. This is us.
And we also, a win that hasn't been mentioned is that Jury and my other sister, put up a bulletin board at the facility where people could post supportive comments to staff, just a dry erase, and there could be family council information posted. And she withstood some negativity from the administrator that, there's a lot to be said for that. Yeah, it's a tough thing. So there's
And that negative.
she's accomplished.
Yes, exactly. And that negativity, sometimes it's the only thing that they have, their only tool in their toolbox, and they're going to just scream it at you, let it out at you. Do not be discouraged. You have the regulations and the law behind you. Don't worry about it. I know it's hard to do this.
Right. And sometimes they know that they should be doing it, but now you're putting it in front of them that they should be doing it, right? So they know they should be doing it, but it's kind of like on the back burner, but you're bringing it to the front and you're putting it out there to them. So don't ever be discouraged. Just keep, as we talked the other night, don't put barriers up. Just keep moving through them.
Like your brother said, be the woodpecker. Be the woodpecker.
Right. I like that word better than fight. Peck, 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 peck.
Yes, yes. I will never forget your brother. Thank you for that. It's 1:03. Does anyone have any further questions? if not, we have to thank you so much for being with us this hour, for bringing us the questions that you did, for joining us, and for keeping on in this advocacy journey that we're all on. Remember, please log on to the nursing home 411.org website. We've got so many tools for you. Take us up on the free Zoom room offer. It's a safe place, as I told you, and everyone wins because of that. Thank you so much for your time, your advocacy. Join us next week. And remember, work towards October, Resident Rights Month. They count, they have rights, so do we, and we're going to help them get them. So thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Gloria.
Thanks, Janine.
Thanks, Haley and
Thanks,
Richard.
Haley.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Everybody. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye-bye.